Hello, everybody. Welcome to No Scrubs, brought to you by the great folks at check.com and also the great folks here at Fistful of Talent. Now, No Scrubs means bad hires in our world, and this is the only show 100% dedicated to bringing you all the tools and tricks of the trade to help you have no bad hires. My name is Dawn Burke, and I am a writer and contributor at Fistful of Talent. I also am the VP of People at a tech company in the Southeast, Birmingham, Alabama, to be exact. Yes, that's it. I'm the VP of People. So again, there we are. So I am thrilled to be with our guest today. I've been looking forward to this greatly. His name is Matt Charney, and he is the executive editor at Recruiting Daily. So if you guys don't know Matt, you should, but most of you do. So Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell all the good folks out there.
Yeah, hi, Don. My name is Matt Charney, and as you said, I'm the executive editor, which is a fancy way of saying I write a lot of copy over at Recruiting Blogs. Unfortunately, I am violating the no scrub rule as I am hanging out the passenger side of my best friend's ride. But I will try to holler at you, and I'm very excited to be here today to talk about the interviewing and screening process, only because I've somehow managed to get past it without them knowing that I'm a sociopath.
Right. Well,
so you know, and some hacks as well, right?
Yeah,
so,
you're some sort of hack in there.
Yeah, and just, you know, because it's ubiquitous and necessary, you can follow me on Twitter at Matt Charney or look me up on LinkedIn, but definitely make sure to check out recruitingdaily.com, which is the primary content site that I run and spend a lot of time on.
Yeah, so. And honestly, it's become pretty ubiquitous with all things recruiting. It's a blog I read daily. If you are not only in the recruiting game, but also just the HR game in general, this is a very, very valuable piece, very valuable blog to give you lots and lots of great educational pieces. So one other thing I got to say about Matt, didn't you go to the University of Southern Cal?
I did. I'm a proud Trojan.
All right.
Right.
Great. So weren't you a screenwriter or studied writing, screenwriting?
I did have one of the best degrees ever, which is a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Writing for Screen and Television, which is a fancy way of saying good luck in the real world.
Right. Well, I have my Bachelor of Fine Arts, too, in theater, and that's the exact same story. So now I'm in HR.
Yeah, well, here we are.
All right, very good.
This, I guess.
So I got to ask you, what are your Oscar picks this year for Best Picture?
I mean, it has to go with Boyhood. That's like one of the best movies that I've ever seen.
Okay.
Period. It was a little long, 3.5, 4 hours, but I have never seen a picture that takes place with the same actors over that period of time.
Yeah.
And as somebody who went through Boyhood, it does a damn good job.
All right. So you've heard it here first, folks. Matt Charney's prediction is Boyhood, and he is very credible in that regard because, well, he is a boy. All right, Matt, let's get down to the topic. Over at Fistful of Talent, the featured blog post is called "To Define Your Culture, Purposely Hire an Asshole." Now, before my boss gets a little freaked out about that, please know, all you HR folks, a little bit scared of that word, that if you read the blog post, it's very, very innocent and a lot of context to the word. So don't freak out about that. So we explore culture. We explore interviewing for culture. We explore that not all cultures are the same. So I'd love to talk to you a little bit about some of these things because you've recruited, and certainly I'm as a third-party recruiter. Would that be safe to say?
I worked for RPOs and BPOs. Yeah, never strictly agency, but yeah, okay. Inside and outside.
Absolutely, and I'm certain you recruit for positions for your own companies as well.
Yeah, looking for somebody right now, in fact. So.
Okay, well, hey, we might get to that at the end for sure. So talk to me in your experience, really, how important is assessing cultural fit in an interview? Should we care? Should anybody care about it?
I guess it really is. I mean, it's important, I think, to have an affinity, and I don't know that anything can be, you know, broken down in an interview that's really going to determine culture, because I think culture is so dynamic and situation specific, which is to say that one department in a company might not have the exact same uniform culture as another. A single hiring manager may have a different approach to leadership, which is going to impact culture. So I think really finding affinity, and it all boils down to that question that you ask every political cycle, is this candidate somebody I'd want to have a beer with? Mm-hmm. And if the answer is yes, then that's a pretty good indicator that they're going to be able to fit into culture, I think. So just finding, who that real individual is, as opposed to trying to, construct them within whatever your marketing messaging or employer value proposition might be on paper, I think is really important. And then also being able to drill down into what really motivates them and what their values really are. Those are things that can be done in a screen and I think are essential.
Okay, very good. So just to recap, we do think, and I agree, Matt, I think there's certain corporate cultures, kind of things under the umbrella, same value props, et cetera, of the entire organization. At least I think there probably should be. But very pragmatically, every department probably has their own unique culture within that culture. When you talk about that fit, you'd want to go have a beer with somebody, those sorts of things. Do you know what types of questions you would use to drill down those sorts of cultural fits in those regards?
Yeah, it's a pretty open-ended and vague question, but it's one of the three that I've always used in every interview. And it's a real simple one, which is tell me the most interesting thing about you that's not on your resume. Mm-hmm. Instantly, that gets them talking out of their career path or experience. It generally throws them off. But if you can really get to what they think not only makes them an interesting person, but also creates a little bit of differentiation from people with the same job title and experience at that point in time, I really think that that's a good way to start figuring out how they fit and jive with your managers. It's also, when submitting candidates, a great talking point if you can try to dig for some points of affinity. For instance, both have a mutual interest in football, let's say, or went to the same school.
Okay.
Definitely, good things to start drilling down to.
Excellent. I think it's interesting. I think I've said this before. I've been in HR now for, 17 years. And when I first was being trained in HR, we were told quite emphatically, you do not want to know anything personal about this person. Did you ever experience that? And usually it was because the more you know about somebody, the more they can sue you for.
Well, I think that if you're asking questions that are that open-ended, then you're not opening yourself up to any sort of compliance violations. Obviously, you can't ask about things like, oh, what do you think about the upcoming election, or what year did you graduate college, or some of those questions that are obviously going to be knockouts. But if you really leave it open-ended, then you're not creating any liability other than what they create. Sure. And then at some point they're waiving it, right?
Oh, hey, actually, that's really good. I think it's been amazing, though. I think it's been an absolute successful, this is an overused term, but this evolution, or maybe even revolution in HR, where now a lot of people say cultural fit or fit, however we're going to define that, in some ways might be more important than skill fit. So you have any thoughts on that?
I think that is absolutely asinine, to be 100%.
Love it.
I mean, you're filling an open position that ostensibly requires a skill set and experience that's specific to that role. And if they can't do it, no amount of culture fit in the world is going to make up for competency, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So I think that the minimum stated qualifications for a job or the baseline level of experience is the foundation. Culture is the building block.
All right. Very good. Love it. So you're somebody that travels around the country. I imagine I know you speak at a lot of events.
I do.
I also know that you probably are pretty well versed in a lot of technology and tools that help with interviewing. Is that a fair assessment, sir?
Yeah, I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to that stuff. Yeah.
Very good. We love nerds. It's all good. So how can tools, in your experience, help the interview process in finding the people with those good skills, whether it's behavioral, competencies, cultural fit, the whole gamut?
Yeah, so I think that as far as the interviewing process goes, being able to create some sort of standardization or framework for assessing a candidate around those soft skills, which generally tend to be subjective. So candidate scorecarding is really important, and being able to align those various scorecard items with specific cultural values or things you're looking for in a candidate, I think are really good. And that can be as simple as an Excel spreadsheet. that really comes down to what most companies miss, which is simply saying, rather than we're going to make a fit that's going to meet our culture, it's taking a step back and asking what our culture is and how those values manifest themselves, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's obviously going to be a factor in interviewing. As far as technology goes, I think that a lot of the video interviewing solutions, not necessarily the on-demand or streaming ones, I think that those are really, really effective, even if it's Skype or some sort of video conference call that's not a dedicated platform solution is really good, because ultimately when you're making eye contact with someone, you can read their nonverbal cues. You really start to being able to drive down towards that all-important affinity thing we talked about. And also, I think that when you put in those tools in place, and they're having any problems, with sound and video and all that, as much as I hate to say it, from having some technical snafus, it's a great way to assess the ability to follow instructions and select learning platforms.
No, that's very true. So you've given some great tips on, there's really no excuse for anybody to say it's cost prohibitive to use tools. There are lots of free things that you can do, a basic assessment tools or sheets, a Word document, an Excel spreadsheet that just brings some standardization. And then, of course, I think as we have evolved, a lot of people, certainly, I do think there's a good return on investment on some automation, some SaaS-based tools, et cetera. I think it helps with the time play usually. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, I think that certainly if you're looking at somebody from an exploratory standpoint, those are really, really valuable, so that you're able to capture those and assess them across roles and hiring managers and different stakeholders. I think where the tools tend to not have a lot of value is when they are being used to specifically screen against a position, which limits a lot of utility, I think, for the future, and also puts the focus again on the hard skills rather than the soft skills.
Okay. All right, guys, you heard it here from Matt Charney. Any last words, Matt, about culture, interviewing, tools, Oscar picks, the whole anything?
Yeah, I would say that the major thing that I try to get across to the employers and HR practitioners that I talk to is that we spend a lot of time trying to define culture, and we think that it really comes down to work as a place, right? So that's why you have so many different companies have these pages of like, oh, check out all these cool like employee break rooms and these offbeat conference rooms and things. But really, culture is not in a way manifested about where you go to work. It's about what you do at work and who you work with. And that's why no HR department or executive in the world can dictate or define a company culture. It's really the amalgamation of the various perspectives and interactions of the employees who happen out the company in real time. So culture is dynamic and organic, not static and created.
Very good. I couldn't agree more. Culture usually is a means to the end. It should not be the end. And it normally is dictated or created down up. Excellent. All right, sir. Guys, this is it for No Scrubs. Again, got to check out our folks at check.com, our great sponsors, and of course here at FOT. For us, for me, and all the people at FOT, and I think I can speak for Matt Charney. Thank you so much, and join us next week.